Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Me in Advanced Bible Study night, the 16th of May, 2025. Okay, we'll be dealing with Ezekiel chapter 37 and 38, going back and revisiting that like we did last night with the women's line. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, to Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. Okay, throw away the bones. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. We have our cash app at the bottom of the screen in case you want to support this channel, help it move along. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of Hosts. Okay. This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrew Israelites that are waking up to their true identity in these last days. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our advanced Bible study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, we'll read the Psalms, then we have some current events, need to know information, then we open it up with some comments, questions, and dialogue. And like I said, we go into Ezekiel 37 and 38 and do a comparison and contrast according to what's going on now in the world in these last days. We'll pick a scripture and break it down, then we'll close out. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony, statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of this covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. We're going to read a psalm.
Shalom. Brother Leonard, y'all, I believe y'all read this last night, but I wanted to read it again on our line too. Psalms 50.
Okay.
And yes, sir. So Psalms 50, the mighty God, even the Lord has spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. Our God shall come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be tumultuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But thou unto the wicked, God said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hast hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. When thou sawest the thief, then thou cons- consentest with him and hast been a partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest I was altogether such and one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, yea, that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God. Shalom. Psalms 50.
Okay, you have comments on that?
Yes, sir, brother Leonard. I had read this too a few weeks ago, and it was, but again, since some of the other brothers that I've been dealing with lately, I just wanted you to put your wisdom on this. So one of the first questions that I had, sir, is um when it starts off, the mighty God, even the Lord has spoken. Brother Leonard, who's the mighty God, sir?
I say when you understand it, it's both of them, I would say that the Lord of hosts is proclaiming that Yahweh, he says, the mighty God, even the Lord, has spoken and called the earth from the rising of the sun until the going down thereof, right? So it's
Yes, sir.
both of them right there.
Mm.
And you keep going, and it says, out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God has shined. That's the Lord of hosts, right?
Yes, sir.
Yahweh ain't in Zion, is he?
He's not. He's in heaven.
So Michael in Zion, Lord of hosts. So it says, our God shall come and shall not keep silent. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heaven. See that? So he called to the heaven.
Yes, sir.
Who in heaven? Who in heaven?
The Most High.
Right. He should call the heaven from above and the earth that he may judge his people. So we know who the judge is, right? We know who in heaven. That's another right there, both of them in that involved in that verse. See that?
Yes, sir.
Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. That take you to Judges chapter 2, right?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Lord of hosts says is a covenant is with you made a covenant with me, Lord of hosts. Then it says the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. Okay, so we see right there, that's Michael talking. And so why is he saying that? Because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when he went to Israel. I mean, when the Lord of hosts called him from Mount Horeb to go to deliver the Israelites. At that time, they was his people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Then
sir.
he sent them to Israel. I mean to Egypt, and he got them. He said that before that they knew me as Yah, which was the Almighty. They thought he was the Almighty, but now they know me as Yah. Yah. He's the one that went and delivered them. And then he says, and now I became your God. After he went and delivered them. So when he say right here in verse 6, the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge over himself. And then 7, hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God. See that? Then even thy God. And so the reason he could say that was because when he went and delivered them out of Egypt, he inherited them and became their God.
Yes, sir.
You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got anything else?
And Brother Leonard, I also wanted to because this one is I had a question about this. So in verse 16, when he's saying but onto the wicked, God said, who's he talking to in these verses, sir, from 16 to 22
Yeah, I'm gonna read it.
or
So
16 to 20. I'm sorry.
when he said, but unto the wicked, God said, what hast thou to do or to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth. To me, right here, I was looking at this last night. I didn't actually comment on it, but I can do it right here now. So this killed the Gentile right here, whether what Paul said, that the Gentile came
Hmm.
in, right? Remember the
Yes,
Gentile
sir.
was brought in. So, but look what it say. But unto the wicked, he's talking to the wicked, the Gentiles, and Esau. But unto the
Hmm.
wicked, God said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? So what you got to do with my statutes? Or that thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth. So he's saying, this is from the mouth of the Lord of hosts. He's saying, they ain't got nothing to do with the covenant. He ain't got no plan for them with no covenant either. When you read that verse. 17, seeing thou hatest instructions, right? And casteth my
Hmm.
word behind thee. So we say, why you trying to take hold of my covenant when you hate instructions and you throw the
Hmm.
word, you don't have no respect for the word. Then 18, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consented with him and hast been partakers with adulterers, and thou givest thy mouth to the evil and thy tongue framed with deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. So with reading this, we know that in 16, right? He's talking to the wicked, the evil, but also he's talking to, we know he's got a good fig and a bad fig, right?
Yes, sir.
So he also talking to these wicked Israelites. When you look at what he says in 18, when thou sawest a thief, right?
Hmm.
Then thou could send it with them and have partakers with the adulterer. So that got to be Israelites.
Right, right. Yes, sir.
See what I'm saying? And thou
Hmm.
givest thy mouth to evil. So he talking to, because they got laws. Israelites got laws. So he says, thou givest thy mouth to evil and thy tongue framed with deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. So that's Israelite talk, right? Uh,
Yes,
thou
sir.
slanderest thine own mother's son. That's Israelite talk. Thinking like Hebrew.
Yes, sir. Because that sounds like Jacob and Esau too, kind of.
Right, right.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Shalom.
Yeah. We go to current events.
Went around the Israeli government and negotiated the release of a hostage that has dual citizenship. This person has Israeli and American passports. Never was there a better ad for holding an American passport than the fact that Israel has left this person to die, and the Trump administration cannot abide this. Now, reports are that the Netanyahu regime is not happy with this. They were left out of the negotiation, and Steve Witkoff, the envoy to President Trump, is saying Israel is just not even trying. They're not trying to get their people back. Of course, we've reported that for months now, that Israel is not trying to release the hostages. And in fact, that the Palestinian offer was always all for all, because Israel has hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. That's what Hamas wanted, was the release of those people. And Israel continues to pee in the pool, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and so this all comes as multiple reports say that Trump is finished with Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, you saw this kind of happening over the weekend. Like, wait a second, is the Trump administration starting to really edge out the Netanyahu regime? Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, is wildly unliked right now in Israel. And Steve Witkoff saying that they want to continue this war. Continuing this war keeps Netanyahu in power. I'm telling you, a few weeks ago, of course, we reported here on the show that Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump are not friends. President Trump does not like Benjamin Netanyahu.
What's to like?
According to sources inside the White House, that has been the case. And I swear to God, I had a feeling this was going to happen. Not that I'm like a soothsayer, but I'm telling you, when Netanyahu starts to steal President Trump's thunder on a routine basis, like when President Trump in the middle of the night, so it's the middle of the night, and Netanyahu releases these video messages basically praising the Trump administration for their alignment with Israel. And then you wake up on the East Coast of the United States, and these video messages have been released by Netanyahu at like 4 a.m, so they don't have a chance to respond.
Yeah.
It makes President Trump look foolish on a number of different levels. And I think Scott Ritter nailed it when he says that basically the reason that this is a problem for Israel is because President Trump is a narcissist. So look at this. He said, Israel is the greatest single threat to the United States, a cancer that has disguised itself as part of the American body. America should be grateful that we elected a narcissist like Donald Trump as president. So think about that for a second.
If you're tired of unhelpful advice from doctors,
because, let's be honest, Donald Trump is a narcissist. We know this.
Yeah, he thinks he got the Pope elected.
Yes, but this is the reason this is a big deal, that he's a narcissist, because that means that if you insult or sort of upstage in a way,
or his administration,
then what you're doing is you're going to get a big middle finger. You're going to be edged out and boxed out. And that's exactly what happened in these hostage negotiations, that Israel wasn't invited to it. They haven't been a party to it. They're being pushed out. And then suddenly the mainstream media, I'm talking this morning, The Guardian, the Financial Times, all suddenly saying that the West should be ashamed of itself for not calling out the genocide in Gaza and what Israel has done in Gaza. Like,
way to catch up. Yeah. How did this happen almost 2 years later, almost 2 years of death?
Yes.
They've been able to abide, but now there's a red line. What is that? And in fact, even today, I almost fell out of my chair. Cindy McCain, the wife of John McCain, who wanted a war with Iran, rather, on behalf of Israel. He wanted a war with Iran so bad, he couldn't even stand it. And now Cindy McCain is saying that we have this aid, because she's a representative for the United Nations, I believe, saying we've been sitting on this aid and people are starving. We should all be ashamed of ourselves. So even legacy warmongers are saying that this is enough. Now we can collectively say we're starving these people. This is collective punishment. Now, over the weekend, the new Pope Leo called out the starvation of these people in Gaza. He said that humanitarian aid must reach them. Israel said we can't because these civilians are mixing with Hamas and never being able to prove it. All of a sudden now, when Israel starts to lose the narrative, when Israel starts to show its fangs, oh, wait, I found it. My mom went looking for it, because no one can find anything unless mom goes looking, and you know it.
Well, and you had Glenn Greenwald coming out, pointing out Mark Levin. He said, here we go. You're going to see Zionists are going to come work right now. They're talking points that got us into war in Iraq. So Saddam's weapons of mass destruction. It's the same playbook these neocons have been using for the last 20 years. Don't fall for it. So regardless of how you feel about Israel, you can separate Israel from the corrupt regime that is the Benjamin Netanyahu regime. Okay, I have friends who used to work for Benjamin Netanyahu and have told me personally how corrupt the man is. They don't work for him anymore. They know you can stand with Israel, but you can absolutely abhor the Netanyahu regime. And I think the writing is on the wall. It's going to be very interesting over the next few days to see what President Trump does in the Middle East with this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's one of those.
Okay, and comments on that? You know anything about that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. I did see that basically it seemed like he kind of doing the international tour. I seen that he made a deal with Qatar um with some kind of things, but I think about when you said Trump is getting payback against, he been taking notes of people, and that's behind some of the actions that he's doing.
Exactly, from his first administration, and how he lost and all that. He's coming back this time on the DL. He knocking off people that you know that offended him the first time. Okay.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right. So let's see where I was at. Yeah, I want to talk about this right quick before I forget about it. That they had like California had a bunch of earthquakes. California was rocked by multiple earthquakes along the fault line, poised for a big. Okay. So it says California has experienced three earthquakes in the last 24 hours, in an area being closely monitored for a major quake. The U.S. Geological Survey detected seismic activity along the San Andreas Fault, which spans 800 miles from Cape of Messina in the north to the Salton Sea in the south. Scientists warn this fault is overdue for the big one, a magnitude 7.8 or higher. So that ain't looking good. We already have these earthquakes all over America already. We had one in, I think it was Tennessee. We had two in Texas. Now they had all these earthquakes in. Now they have earthquakes. They had 3 in 24 hours in California. You know anything about that?
No, sir. I had heard about the one in Atlanta, and then I had heard about California ones before because I just thought that they had them more frequently, but than other places. But no, sir, I haven't heard about these in the last 24 hours.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's like
So oh, I'm sorry.
now go ahead.
No, I was going to ask just what's behind that?
Well,
Just the Lord of hosts.
it says in these last days it's going to be earthquakes in various places. So then you can look at it like, I mean, it's two ways to look at that. The Most High can have them doing it, and they thinking that there's something they doing, and they fulfilling prophecy. It's them because they got the capabilities to manipulate earthquakes, which is now all that is what they call is warfare nowadays. It's not really about no troops on the ground no more. It's all about this technology they got now, especially even AI. So now, and it started way back during Vietnam when they was able to make it rain in certain places way back during the Vietnam War. So these nations understand that these other nations are doing some of this stuff, and it's back and forth. That's why you have a earthquake over here on this side of the planet, then you have one over here. A lot of that stuff has got to do with technology that they have now. But it also can be, the Most High is all falling in place with what the Most High is causing things to happen through them. But they
Yes,
have
sir.
the capabilities of doing it. Believe that. And like I said before, that's a well-known place for, like they just said, seismic activity is San Andreas Fault. So they got the ability to trigger earthquakes. They know right where to go. There's certain places there that's already highly vulnerable. All they gotta do is help it along. Okay. So with that being said, I was going to right here. I thought this is pretty interesting. It's about Tory with an ambush. Let it play, then we'll deal with it. Okay.
Traoré is the new self-declared leader of Burkina Faso. He overthrew the president, Paul-Henri Damiba, alongside a group of soldiers.
In a stunning show of military precision and iron-fisted leadership, Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again made global headlines, this time for orchestrating a deadly ambush that wiped out over 1,000 terrorists in just one coordinated strike. This isn't fiction. This is real-time warfare in West Africa, where insurgents, extremists, and foreign-backed militias have plagued the region for years. But now, the tables have turned. Under the command of Traoré, a 36-year-old revolutionary leader who seized power to defend his nation, Burkina Faso's military has unleashed a wave of counter-terrorism operations like nothing the Sahel has seen before. Backed by cutting-edge intelligence and a fierce nationalistic spirit, Traoré's forces executed a strategic ambush that didn't just neutralize a threat, it sent a global message. Burkina Faso will no longer be a playground for terrorists. In this deep dive, we break down exactly how this operation unfolded, the planning, the terrain, the intel, and the firepower. Who were these 1,000 terrorists? What were their goals? And how did one of Africa's youngest leaders deliver such a crushing blow without Western backup? This is more than a battlefield story. It's a symbol of rising African sovereignty, military transformation, and the fight for stability in a region on the brink. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might just change how you view modern warfare, and the man they now call the Lion of Ouagadougou, a captain with fire. In the golden dust plains of the Sahel, Burkina Faso had become a war drum that refused to be silenced. Blood had soaked too many village paths, mothers had cried too many nights, and farmers had abandoned fields that once sang with millet and sorghum. Yet, in the middle of the chaos, a young captain, Ibrahim Traoré, rose not as a politician, but as a fighter carved from the same stone as Sankara, bold and unforgiving. When his soldiers struck a blow that buried 1,000 terrorists in one sweeping ambush, it wasn't just military strategy. It was the roar of a people reclaiming their land. Burkina Faso had been reeling for years under the weight of insurgent groups, Al-Qaeda-affiliated cells, Islamic State militants, and bandit militias with no god but violence. These groups had not just attacked checkpoints or looted arms. They had killed school teachers, burned market stalls, kidnapped girls, and desecrated mosques. They had tried to make fear the national anthem, but Traoré's ambush shattered that song into silence. Operation Tempête de Feu, Firestorm, the ambush that roared. It was not just another operation. It was the culmination of months of tactical planning, local intelligence, drone surveillance, and ground coordination. The military had mapped the terrorist movements like a griot memorizing an epic. For weeks, they watched a major terror convoy snake through the northern corridors of the country. The militants had grown bold, believing the government was weak and the army poorly equipped. They underestimated the new order. Traoré's elite strike units, drawn from the Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR, and the Cobra Commando Forces, coordinated with volunteer fighters from the VDP, Volontaires pour la Défense de la Patrie, civilians trained and armed to defend their own lands. It was a brotherhood forged in fire, a fusion of army discipline and village heart. On that fateful morning, dawn broke with an eerie silence. No birdsong, no village chatter, only the tense breath of the forest. Then, as a convoy of over 1,000 terrorists advanced through the Arbinda-Tinikoff corridor, the trap snapped shut like a lion's jaw. From above, helicopters unleashed a storm of missiles. On the ground, armored units sealed off escape routes, while snipers took positions along the cliffs. Local VDPs, many wielding only AKs and machetes, moved through the brush like ghosts, striking with precision. The fighting raged for 6 relentless hours. The earth trembled with the roar of battle. And when the smoke cleared, the scale of the victory was undeniable. Over 1,000 enemy combatants lay dead. Dozens more fled, wounded and broken. It was not just a tactical win, It was a roar of defiance echoing across the Sahel. Intelligence is the drumbeat before the dance. The ambush's success was not solely due to military strength. It was the result of deep coordination between local communities and military intelligence. Under Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership, Burkina Faso has embraced a grassroots approach to security. The regime has established zones de défense populaire, areas where villagers actively contribute intelligence by reporting suspicious activity. This strategy has transformed civilians into key players in national defense. Market vendors, nomadic herders, and even schoolboys have become the Army's early warning system. In this latest operation, a remarkable alliance of Fulani, Mossi, and Gourmanche communities supplied weeks of real-time information. These communities had suffered firsthand from terrorist brutality, burned villages, poisoned wells, and the abduction of children. Their weapon of choice became intelligence. They passed along information quietly, strategically, with a sense of vengeance and purpose. Step toward a freer tomorrow. Beyond the ambush, the echoes across West Africa. The recent military operation in northern Burkina Faso has sent ripples across West Africa, resonating deeply in neighboring Mali, Niger, and even Nigeria. Unlike past efforts influenced by foreign military contractors and global agendas, this campaign was distinctly homegrown, planned, led, and executed by Burkinabe forces. Its success marks a turning point, offering a blueprint for African-led security solutions free from external dependence. Mali and Niger, themselves under military leadership, swiftly responded with messages of solidarity. They not only congratulated Burkina Faso, but also signaled readiness to coordinate joint operations, highlighting a growing sense of regional unity. The Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a political and military bloc formed by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, is seizing the opportunity to expand its influence and take decisive steps against extremist threats still lingering across the region.
Okay. Any comments on that? What you think about that?
Shalom. I mean, they said a lot there. I think, bro, that makes sense, brother Leonard. Like when he got with Rwanda, right? In because Rwanda has like is real big on reconnaissance and surveillance and spying and stuff like that. So I think that's helped the military. Um, and then I seen
Yeah, go ahead.
that he has he's making everybody take like every citizen has to take like self-defense training, self-defense
Right.
boot camp. Yeah,
Right.
so it's a different mindset.
Yeah, that makes sense, don't
Right, yes, sir.
it? Right. Because those terrorists been coming in there, handling the people in a kind of way for way back for the go all the way back to the Arab slave trade. These people been doing this, so it only makes sense that everybody is equipped with some kind of ability to self-defend themselves.
Right, yes, sir. It gotta happen.
Exactly. So with that being said, I want to play this here. I can get a chance to. I played a little bit of it last night, but I want to play it again. And this is what I was saying about just sitting back and then everything gonna come out in the open. So all the stuff they got going on with Ibrahim Traore, how they done blowed him up. Now all of a sudden, you go Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. They're supposed to be Black America's #1 couple, right? Check it out.
Video of a television show in California. The spotlight shone brightly on Michelle Obama. The former First Lady of the United States was in the spotlight, conducting a live interview that promised to address global issues. With her elegant posture and calm voice, she began discussing the political landscape in Africa, specifically mentioning Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Between carefully chosen words, she questioned the leadership of Ibrahim Traore, the young president of the country whose decisions during the political transition had sparked heated debates. The criticism was direct, but not cruel. Michel highlighted the difficulties faced by the Burkinabe people and pondered whether the methods adopted by Traoré were truly appropriate for resolving the country's long-standing problems. She spoke about corruption, instability, and the need for greater transparency. Her concern was evident, but there was also an undertone of doubt regarding Traoré's legitimacy as a leader. The cameras captured every word, and the world watched closely. In Burkina Faso, the impact of the statement was immediate. In Ouagadougou, the capital, people gathered around televisions in public squares, listening to Michel's words with a mix of surprise and discomfort. To many, the criticism seemed unfair, especially since Traoré was seen as a symbol of hope. After years of political instability, murmurs began to rise, and some voices already called for a response. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Traoré was in his office at the presidential palace, surrounded by stacks of documents and maps detailing the country's challenges. He watched the interview in silence, his expression thoughtful. Beside him, Fatoumata Diallo, his communications advisor, observed him closely, trying to anticipate his reaction. "What do we do now?" she asked hesitantly. Traoré only shook his head, as if he already had an idea forming. Behind the scenes, Traoré's communication team debated strategies for responding to the criticism. Some suggested a firm rebuttal, while others advocated for a conciliatory.
You listening to that? Debated. You know what happens when you have debates. Tempers flare and all that, and chaos come out. So remember that.
Tone. However, Traoré interrupted the discussion. "It won't be through press releases that we reach the hearts of our people," he said calmly. "We need to speak directly to them." This decision surprised even his closest allies. Meanwhile, in the United States, Michelle Obama reflected on her statement. Although she knew her words had the power to influence opinions, she also recognized the complexity of the African context. Talking with her friend and collaborator Sarah Collins, she admitted curiosity about Traoré's response. "I hope he doesn't take this personally," Michelle said, revealing a trace of concern. On the streets of Ouagadougou, tensions grew. Protesters carried signs supporting Traoré, while others criticized external interference. The city buzzed with emotion.
You see what's going on, right?
They're trying to stir it up.
Exactly. They're using her. You know what I'm saying? They're using her to go against him, and then it's back and forth. So now people that's siding with her and Obama, and then got those that's with Tory. So they're starting to riff. Check it out.
And it seemed like any wrong word could inflame the situation further.
See the words he used?
For many, this was more than a political dispute. It was a matter of national dignity. Finally, Traoré announced he would make a public address the following day before university students in Ouagadougou. The choice of location was intentional. He wanted to speak directly
young folks,
to the youth, the future of the country. As he prepared his words, he knew this would be a defining moment, not just for his leadership, but for the very destiny of Burkina Faso. The next morning, the streets of Ouagadougou were filled with young people heading to the auditorium where Traoré would deliver his speech. There was an air of expectation, as if everyone sensed something.
They headed to the rebuttal of the debate.
Something important was about to happen. Inside the building, students filled every available seat, eager to hear their leader speak. Traoré took the stage without ceremony, wearing simple clothes that reflected his humble origins. He began by speaking about his childhood in a small, rural village where the struggle for survival was a daily reality. I know what it means to dream of a better future while fighting to survive in the present, he said, his voice thick with emotion. The audience listened in silence, completely captivated. He then addressed Michelle Obama's criticisms directly. I don't deny the challenges we face, he declared, but we also cannot allow our history to be written by those who have not lived our struggles.
Exactly.
His words resonated deeply with those present, who applauded warmly. Traoré continued, emphasizing the importance of sovereignty and self-determination. Meanwhile, in the United States, Michelle Obama followed the speech via online streaming. She was impressed by the calmness and depth of Traoré's words. Speaking with Sarah, she admitted she might have underestimated the complexity of the situation. He is speaking straight from the heart of the people, she remarked, visibly moved. Back in Burkina Faso, Traoré's speech quickly spread across social media. Videos and clips were shared thousands of times, and hashtags like Duk African Dignity and Listen to Africa began dominating digital platforms.
You see that, right?
Yes, sir. That's a target area.
Okay.
People from different African countries expressed solidarity, transforming the speech into a continental movement. However, not everyone reacted positively. International critics argued that Traoré used the speech to divert attention from internal problems. In Washington, political analysts debated whether his response was genuine or merely a strategy to gain popularity. Polarization increased, making the atmosphere even more tense.
Straight off a clubhouse.
Fatoumata Diallo, Traoré's communications advisor, worked tirelessly to manage the global repercussions. She arranged interviews with international journalists, ensuring Traoré's message was widely disseminated. Despite the pressure, she felt proud of the role she played in shaping an authentic African narrative. As the day progressed, it became clear that Traoré's speech had marked a turning point. He had not only responded to the criticism, but had also inspired millions to reflect on the meaning of dignity and sovereignty. Experience the country's realities firsthand. Although her schedule was packed, she knew this trip could be a crucial step in building authentic bridges. We need to step out of our bubbles, she told Sarah Collins as they planned the visit details. Only then can we truly learn. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, Traoré faced new internal challenges. Despite popular support, he knew he needed to make progress on practical issues like security and infrastructure. During a meeting with community leaders, he called for direct collaboration from the people. We cannot do this alone, he declared. We need you, your ideas, and your efforts. His inclusive approach earned him even more support among citizens. Preparations for Michelle Obama's visit generated great anticipation across the country. Schools and universities organized debates about the topics she might address. Amadou, who, the young Senegalese activist inspired by Traoré's speech, traveled to Ouagadougou to participate in a special forum on youth and leadership. He expressed gratitude that both leaders were fostering such meaningful dialogues.
Okay, what you got out there? What you think? Got any comments on that?
I mean, I just think, Brother Leonard, when they specifically bring out the Obama's period, is to stir our emotions up, specifically, you know, the quote unquote Black Americans. Like anytime you bring them out, that's what it's for, because they're not even in office.
Right. Exactly. And then,
You know?
but them 8 years, they did them 8 years for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, who give a damn? Who give a damn what she think about Tory? You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yes, sir.
Give a damn, man. That's what I'm saying. But this how they manipulate us. Who give a damn what she say about what's going on in Burkina Faso, man? Come on, it's crazy. So anyway, now that was. I'm okay. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. Anybody else? I'm not finished with that yet. Anybody have any questions or comments or any dialogue about anything they heard on this line? They heard yesterday on the women's line, or anything they want to talk about?
Shalom,
Comments.
brother Leonard. I'm sorry, brother Leonard. I heard yesterday, and I don't know if you were getting into this, but yesterday when you were mentioning Farrakhan,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was thinking about how with Haile Selassie and all of that stuff. Um, did you know, brother Leonard, that they offered quote unquote Black America in the nation, they offered them $1 billion where they were gonna send it back in the day, Haile Selassie or whatever, they were gonna send it to Farrakhan, but whatever president at that time denied it.
Yeah, I thought that was uh Gaddafi the one who was sending them that money.
That's what I thought too. There was something that I was seeing. It was Haile Selassie, because then that queen or whatever had wrote a letter too, supposedly to send us home, or to not us, but to call Black people back to Africa or whatever.
Well, right. So
But
so so so
yes, sir.
actually, like I was saying before, the reason why you have this thing going on now today with this worship of Haile Selassie is because of what they're doing right now with Tory. They did it before with Haile Selassie. They blew it up. So but what you're just saying, I'm starting to think, I'm gonna do the research on it, that not only did Haile Selassie offer him some money, but uh my man, what's his name? In what's the other guy in the Muslim guy they killed?
In Libya,
Yeah,
Gaddafi. Yes, sir.
Gaddafi. Not only did Selassie offer him the money, but Gaddafi did too. That's what I'm starting to think. So all these things, they were being repeated. Like I was telling you about, it's a lot of people that forgot about it, but I ain't forgot that way back in the '60s, they had come up with a plan to ignite a atomic bomb in the Atlantic Ocean and cause a tsunami, right? And the tsunami is gonna hit the East Coast and put the whole East Coast underwater, right? That's back on the plane again. As a matter of fact, it's on the dollar, it's on the money now. So it's gonna happen. So they doing the same things over and over again. They're doing the same things over and over again. Like I said, and they just get better and better at it. So, this ain't nothing new what they doing now. They did with Haile Selassie. They blew him up, and to this day, you got all of Jamaica and all the people over there worshiping Haile Selassie. Say he's they blew that king. They blew the reason why Ethiopia where it's at now when it comes to religious matters was what they done with Haile Selassie. Say that he was a direct descendant from David's lineage. That's how you got all these
Right.
rosters and all
Yes,
these
sir.
people. They did so. It's nothing new. What they doing now? They're doing the same thing. And like I said, they did it with Obama. They blew him up because, like I said, it was one day he was a nobody. Nobody knew who he was. Then all of a sudden he did his little fiery speech at the Democratic convention, and then from there they just used their propaganda machine, and next thing you know, he was in the damn White House, which is crazy. But that's how they played. That's how they did it. Like I said, he came up and he beat royalty. Hillary Clinton was royalty. He came through there and swept through there, beat all them people. And then you say, well, what you talking about? Well, look what Trump did. He had 32 felony counts. How in the hell he get in the White House? After what he did with January 6th, then turn around and got 32 felony counts. But you still in the White House. So that tells you how powerful and how slick and how powerful these people are. And you can't put nothing past them. He went all the way through he bypassed all the dumb shit, and he in the White House now causing all kind of havoc. And what else would you expect somebody with 32 felony counts? That's the crazy part about it, and everybody's surprised. Come on, man.
Right. Yes, sir. Oh, good.
You know, yes, it's no different than look what they did with Watergate. Come on, what's the difference?
Yes, sir.
Ain't no difference, man. But we look past all that. When we look past the wickedness and the evil. Even is like you just read in Psalm 52. You just told them you wicked as hell. How you figure you're gonna take hold of my covenant when you wicked as hell? It's not in you. It's not in you to keep no statutes. You throw them behind you. You wicked as hell. Come on. Ain't there something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we ain't thinking like we're not using the abilities that the Creator gave us. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at I mean, you know, it kind of troubled me, man. The day I was listening to I was looking at those old like blues videos from old blues songs, and the men, the guys that was, you know, we still had our countenance then. I don't even know who the hell we was, but our countenance was still there, like the afros, and then the physique of the men. Like I was saying, when they had the guy from Motown, running Motown, he can go anywhere, get any 5 dudes and start a 5-man group, and they'll shut it down. Any 5 dudes. So I was watching this tribute to the blues on MTV, right? These tribute to the blues, and then they was calling all these blues singers out. So them ain't nothing but Israelites. Them ain't nothing but Levites in the temple. He just called them out one for all of them got that ability. The Most High gave them. The ability to sing, the ability, you know, then they countenance. Like I said, Joseph went into Egypt, and all the women in Egypt flipped out. They flipped out on Solomon. They flipped out on David. So we see all these dudes, and they went and got, go get 5 dudes. All of them got the ability. All of them got the same characteristics that was endowed on them. They can sing. And so the thing about it is, if they can sing, they got this countenance, they got this aura on them, then they got intelligence. Come on. That's what human is. So you got all these, every brother on the streets got these abilities. They Israelites. And so we looking past that. And like I was saying last night about way back then, Matt Johnson was worth $1 billion contract. When you think about what he brought to the game and how he impacted all the people everywhere, all over the world, he was worth $1 billion. But they don't want you. They want to downplay it for you to think, for you not to even aspire to that. But like we said, like I was saying, what my man Lamar Jackson did when he set out and he said, "No, I'm worth all this money." So he set out, and then they finally made the contract. Then he performed what he said he was worth. He done it. So now then you got these black dudes coming behind him, like the dude Deion Sanders' son. Hell, his daddy already superhuman, so you already know he is the same way. So they don't want him to start. They don't want him to aspire to that money, that $1 billion contract, because that's what these Negroes capable of. But they steady denigrating us with all this little small stuff that they're doing. So we don't even aspire to that level. They want to keep us down here or minimize mentally, not realizing that you are worth that damn $1 billion. You got them kind of skills. The shit that you all the effect that you're doing. Look what Abraham doing or Tory doing over the whole world. You think that nigga ain't worth $1 billion? Look what he doing. Come on. But they don't want us to know that. That you know, they don't want us to see that. They don't want the youth to see none of that. They don't want to see it. So that's what that's all about. And they're trying to denigrate everybody. Or I mean, like I was saying with the WNBA. You know what I'm saying? You got Angela Reese, but look at these young girls coming behind Angela Reese. We see in the past, as soon as you bring one up, the ones that come behind them, they end up being way more talented than the ones before them. So they cutting it off. All the ones that didn't make the cut on the teams is these black girls. Because you don't want now one of them to come out of the woodwork and outshine Caitlin Clark. Okay? See what I'm saying? And we sleeping on that. We sleeping on that. That's why I say, like I said, when you understand what I'm saying, who give a damn what Michelle Obama said, bro? Come on, man. Who give a damn?
Yeah, nobody does. Yes, sir. No, nobody does. Like it wasn't even a thought
Right.
about her. And brother Leonard, to what you were saying, I see it all the time because I still pay attention to sports, the Roman circus sometimes, and of course, and Asia Wilson is the best player in the world and has been for like the past 5-6 years. And like you said, she's been in the league for a long time. Then you got these girls coming out of college now. But Asia Wilson just got her own shoe. They gave Caitlin Clark and there, yes, sir. And then there's another girl, another white girl, Sabrina, whatever. She played for the Liberty. She has her own shoe. She's like on 2 or 3. And it's like how when Asia has 2 championships, she's been the MVP like 3 times, been the defensive player of the year 2 or 3 times. She the best, she the LeBron of the WNBA.
Yeah,
Like, how is she not, and how is she not getting paid $1 million?
Right. And then I'll tell you something else. The little broad from that play for the Suns. I can't think of the Connecticut Sun, right? They got the blonde hair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She a problem.
Yeah, she a problem. And she going, which caller can't deal with her. So now they want to make it out like she's an antagonist or she's some throwed off or psychopath. But she gets in what's called an ass and shut her down.
Yes, sir.
And you got a bunch of sisters that do that, but they didn't made it out like they antagonists or they violent or some shit. But they just showing you this mother she ain't shit.
Yeah, and this a different level. This ain't college. The same with the other girl. Her name was Trinity Carter. She had played for Chicago last year. She averaged like 20 points last year, and now she ain't even in the WNBA because she roughed her up last year.
Right, and they talked her out. They turned her into an antagonist.
Right. Yes, sir.
Well,
in the media. In the media.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like I said today, nobody ain't looking at that, man. But I'm looking right at it. So now all of a sudden, this girl from South Carolina, he hit 20-some points in like 12 minutes in one of the pre-games, but you get cut. Come on, man. Crazy.
And hit a game winner.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Nobody ain't paying no attention to that. So that's where we at. That's why everything is so chaotic. These people, they didn't made up in their mind. They ain't giving us, and they made it up a long time ago before the election when they concocted 2025 Project 2025. They ain't giving us no kind of break. It's gonna cost them, but that's where they at. Because all they doing is what the Pharaoh did. When the Most High said, sent Moses to go tell him it's time to let my people go. Well, he got pissed off. He went psycho. That's what they is. The Most High, it's time for us to go, but you went psycho. So you're gonna make him show out, just like the Pharaoh did. Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir. And I was just telling some of my boys that with the sports along the same line that you're talking about, they've been trying to replace us anyway. If you look
Right,
at the look at Joker, you know, the guy from the Nuggets, you look at Luka Doncic,
right,
Caitlin Clark, like you're talking about, those
right.
people are you know, they good or whatever, but we got all of us is that good.
Exactly. Right. Right. You're talking
You know
about
what I'm saying? So they make it special. Like Russell Westbrook didn't average a triple double for 4 seasons straight. And now they
mhm,
trying to act like since Joker just started doing it that he's something special. Well, he's a
right,
damn giant.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
Anyway, so it's like, come on, but a man 6'3" do it. Oh, it's not that amazing because we supposed to do it. But oh,
right,
he doing it. You know, all these people, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, SGA,
right.
Anthony Edwards, all these boys scoring 30 points. But oh, Luka scored 30 points. He one of the best players ever. They ready to say he one of the best players in the world.
Right.
Come on now.
But he can't get no championship. You
but
know what I'm
he
saying?
can't get no championship. And then the
Yeah.
same with Cooper Flag, brother Leonard, like you brought him up. Now he's next, right? There
Right.
hasn't even Joker and Luca, they white boys, but they European though, you know, by
Right.
nationality. There
Exactly.
hasn't been an American bred white man since Larry Bird. So they got their woman, they got Caitlin Clark, and then they also got the number 1 pick, that girl from UConn. And
Right.
it's funny too how Dallas got the number 1 pick in the NBA and the WNBA, both two white superstars.
Right. And right. And then all the hype, she ain't living up to it because they fucking over. Excuse my French. Those them girls in the WNBA messing over. She ain't all that, man. She realizing that. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes,
come on,
sir.
bro. It's an insult. Really, like I was saying before, it's an insult because of what it all boils down to is, like I said, what happened with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, these Negroes worth way more money than what you giving them. And now that they showing that what they capable of and the effects that they have, and you seeing it. You seeing how the money that they generate. Jordan was what Jordan did was that was just an example, but the guys coming behind him, they way more capable than that because they see, you know what I mean? That's just who we are with our DNA. Or one person do it, then you're gonna get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more guys come behind him and and feed off of what they saw him do, and they're gonna do it better. And they worth that kind of money, but they don't want Negroes to know that. They getting that kind of money. They can't bust a grape, but they getting that kind of money off of those athletes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because
Yeah.
yeah, back in the day, they, you know, those guys made the leagues what they are.
Right. And then look at Will Chamberlain. You think that Negro ain't worth $1 billion? Come on, man.
Or even
They
Bill
just
Russell.
Yeah, they just got you. They didn't minimize it, got us thinking that, this little bit here, this and that. No, they work from the effects that they have on worldwide. That's what they have. We have accountability. Solomon is a prime example. Come on, man. Oh yeah. So anyway, let's see where I was at. We was on Q&A, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I had played what Michelle Obama did, but check this out. Like I said, That's a dead cat on the line. Negroes ain't peeping it out though, but here we go. Now Michelle Obama came out with that, but here we go. Check this out.
Amid rising insecurity and mounting international pressure.
Amid rising insecurities and mounting international pressure. Check it out.
An unexpected phone call from Washington sparked a dialogue like no other between two men from seemingly opposite worlds. One, a symbol of soft power, the other a symbol of defiance and African self-belief. What truly unfolded during that hour-long conversation, and why did it make the world pause and listen? Subscribe to the channel to uncover untold truths about Ibrahim Traoré. The midday sun scorched the ochre walls of the presidential palace in Ouagadougou. Inside his office, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, transitional president of Burkina Faso, had just concluded a tense meeting with his Security Council. The reports were grim. Terrorist attacks in the north had intensified, and the news filtering in from the field was anything but encouraging. Armed groups had seized control of several border villages, displacing thousands of families. Traoré, only 35 years old, rubbed his face wearily. Since taking power in September 2022, not a single day had passed without a new battle. He still wore his military uniform, never traded for suits or symbolism, as a visible reminder of his convictions. Burkina Faso was at war, and he was on the front line. His phone rang. Marietou Diallo, his secretary, sounded breathless. "Excellency," she said quickly, "I just received a call from the US Embassy. Former President Barack Obama would like to speak with you. They're waiting for your availability to set up the line." Traoré raised an eyebrow. Since breaking military ties with France and growing closer to Russia, relations with Washington had cooled to near Arctic. And this wasn't a call from the Biden administration, no Obama himself. Apparently, he had taken on personal diplomatic initiatives. Traoré paused, considering. He was no stranger to Obama's reputation. Charisma, eloquence, a calm, persuasive force. He also knew the former US president, born to a Kenyan father, had long expressed a deep interest in Africa's future. "Tell them I'll be available in 1 hour," he replied simply. News of the impending call spread like wildfire across the palace. A conversation between Obama and the young captain, reshaping the world order. It promised more than formality. It promised tension, maybe even transformation. At the scheduled hour, Traoré returned to his office. He had chosen a deliberate simplicity. No advisors, no briefing notes. Just him, his vision for Burkina Faso, and the unshakable resolve etched into his every gesture. The phone rang again. Captain Traoré. "This is Barack Obama." The voice was just as Traoré had imagined, steady, warm, carrying that quiet assurance only true orators possess. President Obama Traoré replied in formal French before switching to a slightly accented but clear English. "This is an unexpected honor. Thank you for taking the call," Obama said. "I hope you'll allow me to speak frankly from one man to another, beyond the protocols." Traoré leaned back slightly. "Frankness is a value we share deeply in West Africa, Mr. President." "I'm listening." Obama began by asking questions about the security situation, the daily challenges on the ground. To Traoré's surprise, the former president was remarkably well informed. He referenced specific villages, known militant tactics, and the precise numbers of displaced persons. "Captain," Obama said carefully, "I won't pretend to grasp all the complexities of your situation, but I am concerned about the suspension of democratic institutions in Burkina Faso. History has taught us that even the noblest intentions can go astray without checks and balances." A flicker of irritation passed through Traoré, but he mastered it. He had anticipated this moment. "With all due respect, Mr. President," he said, his voice steady, "what democratic institutions are you referring to? The ones that allowed our resources to be looted for decades? The ones that failed to protect our children from bombs and kidnappings. He paused, choosing his words carefully. When I was on the Northern Front, I saw soldiers die due to inadequate equipment, while some of our so-called elected leaders were hiding fortunes in Swiss bank accounts. Is that the democracy you ask me to restore? The silence on the other end of the line spoke volumes. Traoré knew he had struck a nerve. The conversation had taken a turn that neither man could have predicted. I understand your frustration, Captain Obama said after a long pause. Believe me, I've seen the flaws of democratic systems up close, but I've also seen how over time they have the ability to correct themselves. Outside, rain began to tap gently against the tall windows of the presidential palace. Moments later, a full tropical storm broke loose over Ouagadougou, as if echoing the intensity inside the room. Allow me to ask you this, Obama continued. What's the alternative? A permanent military government. History has shown that such a model often ends up serving the few at the expense of the many. Traoré rose slowly from his chair and walked toward the window. In the palace courtyard, soldiers on duty huddled beneath whatever cover they could find from the pelting rain. These were the men and women who believed in him, who trusted him to change the fate of their homeland. Mr. President, he said softly, I grew up in a small village in Burkina. We made decisions as a community gathered beneath the tree of dialogue. The elders would speak, but so would the adults and even the youth. That wasn't your Western democracy, but it was our way of making sure every voice mattered. He paused. Wait, that conversation had moved him more than he was willing to admit, not because it made him question his vision, but because it reminded him of something crucial, that leadership is not only about conviction, it is about articulation. If Burkina Faso was going to claim its place on the world stage, its story needed to be told clearly, boldly, without apology. That night, instead of heading to bed, he called in a small team, no more than 3 advisors. They sat with him as he dictated the first public outline of Burkina's transition roadmap. Unlike previous internal memos, this version was different. It wasn't just a technical plan, it was a declaration of intent. It included rural consultations, sectoral forums in all 13 regions, and a phased constitutional referendum built from community input. Elections, yes, but not borrowed models. A new format, reflective of cultural diversity, social priorities, and economic inclusion.
Okay, what you get out of that? First Obama, Michelle came at him, then Obama called.
Well, you know, it's like he's like the you know, when when rappers or artists get into it, they gotta go talk to Jay-Z. And so like
Okay.
with the politicians, they gotta go talk to Obama, right?
Right.
And so that's like I was saying earlier, they brought them both out. They brought the husband and the wife. You know, they brought his
Exactly.
help me with them. So there's a mission that they're trying to do.
Right. Exactly. And they're thinking that you know, that little influence that they got, they tested to see if it's going to influence him.
Yeah, right.
Is
Yes,
that
sir. And yes, sir. Because one thing that they mentioned in there, they're trying to use that, you know, that he's Kenyan for his little end.
they're trying to make some kind of African connection?
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is
Exactly.
that something? Right. Okay. That's something. So, with that being said, I'm gonna play this here, and then I'm gonna read what I read last night out of and get some feedback from Ezekiel 38. Okay, here you go right here. After all that, Tory came back and he addressed the United Nations.
State leaders of nations, distinguished representatives of peoples great and small, I greet you not as a career diplomat, nor as a man bred for banquet halls and handshakes. I do not come to you speaking the rehearsed language of polished politics. I come to you as a soldier of my people, as a guardian of a wounded land, as a son of a continent that has carried the cross of the world, yet has never worn its crown. My name is Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso, and today I speak not only for the 22 million souls in my nation, but for a continent whose stories have been twisted, whose pain has been ignored, and whose dignity has been repeatedly auctioned off at the altar of foreign interests. Africa is not Tobago. Africa is not a battlefield. Africa is not your experiment, your puppet, your warehouse of raw materials. Africa is rising not to kneel, but to stand. And today I say before this great assembly of nations, Africa will not kneel. One on the false generosity of global politics. For decades, you've sent us aid with one hand while extracting our lifeblood with the other. You build wells in our villages while your corporations drain our rivers. You donate vaccines, yet patent the cures. You speak of climate action, yet continue to fund the very forces that burn our forests and dry our lakes. What kind of generosity is this? The kind that feeds the mouth but silences the voice. The kind that keeps a man alive just enough to keep him dependent. We are not blind to this hypocrisy. Let me be clear, we are not ungrateful for sincere humanitarian assistance, but we reject a global order that disguises exploitation as partnership. We reject financial institutions that lend with one hand and steal sovereignty with the other. In classrooms, not minerals on cargo ships. Development that respects the land, the people, and the soul of a nation. For on sovereignty and interference. Why is it that when an African nation makes independent choices, we are called unstable? Why is it that when we seek military cooperation outside the colonial sphere, we are labeled a threat? Burkina Faso has chosen to walk a path of sovereignty that is not a threat to peace. It is a declaration of adulthood. We are no longer under your guardianship. We are no longer your junior partners in diplomacy. We are a free people. If a nation chooses partners that respect it rather than exploit it, that is not rebellion. That is wisdom. Let it be known, no foreign power will dictate the alliances of Burkina Faso. We will build relations based on mutual respect, not historical guilt or present-day intimidation. Fight on terrorism and manufacture wars. You ask why there is violence in the Sahel. You ask why our youth take up arms. But you do not ask who benefits when our minds are guarded by private mercenaries, while our villages are left vulnerable. You do not ask how weapons arrive in deserts that produce no steel. You do not ask why peacekeeping never seems to end the war. The truth is, many of the so-called solutions to African security problems are merely business models. Endless conflict has become a market, and African suffering has become a subscription-based service. Burkina Faso has decided to break that cycle. We will fight terror, but not with dependency. We will secure our nation not with foreign dictates, but with national dignity. 6 on migration and human dignity. We do not want our youth drowning in the Mediterranean. We do not want our brightest minds fleeing to countries that once called us savages. We do not want remittances. We want reasons for our people to stay. Why do our youth flee? Not because we lack beauty, but because we are made to lack opportunity. Not because we hate our land, but because our land is treated as someone else's property. Migration is not a crisis, it is a symptom of wars we did not start, of loans we did not need, of a world order that tells our youth their only value lies outside their own homes. The solution is not border fences. The solution is justice for 7 on Africa's place in the world. Africa is not a mistake to be fixed. Africa is not a failed continent. Africa is the womb of the world, the cradle of civilization, the keeper of tomorrow's hope. We have been made invisible in global decisions that affect us deeply. At the UN Security Council, Africa with 54 sovereign nations has no permanent seat. What justice is this? You call it balance, we call it betrayal. You speak of democracy, yet uphold a global structure where the powerful few veto the dreams of the many. We will no longer whisper in rooms where we deserve to speak with full voice. Aid on faith and spiritual dignity. We are a spiritual people. Before your cathedrals, our ancestors sang to the sky. Before your missionaries, we knew the language of the rivers and the laws of the sacred forest. Christianity came, Islam came, and we received them not as slaves, but as seekers. But now we ask, will the church and the mosque stand with us, truly with us, when all people are displaced by greed, mass as globalization?
Okay. What do you think?
Shalom, yes, sir, brother Leonard. One thing that he had just said was that our people used to sing to the sky.
Okay.
Right. And yes, sir. That just makes me, I mean, that kind of sounds like Hebrew Israelite characteristics.
Right. Yeah, like I said, David said that these 200 angels came down, slept with the women, got giants, and David comes to telling us through the Psalms that they don't have nothing to do with the Creator. The Creator is in heaven. But these people, when they die, they go down to the pit. And we saw Wednesday night and last night how that Abraham said he's going to die and he's going to ascend into his fathers. So heaven, ascension is where righteousness and people of righteousness and upright men, they ascend. And wicked folks and the people that came from wickedness, they are descend. So he just said that we sing into the heavens because that's where righteousness is at. That's where the Lord Yahweh is. And that's where we came from. Is that something?
Right, yes, sir. And then, Brother Leonard, something that you have put me on to was that Burkina Faso means the land of upright people. So I
Right.
mean, even when they had changed the name from Upper Volta, they is still in our history. Israelites are an upright nation.
Exactly.
A nation of priests.
Right. And you know that Book of Jasher is called the Book of Upright Men. You know that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So yeah, ain't that something? And when I look at all that and I connect it, it goes back to like I was saying, even when I was talking earlier about you got these Negroes worth $1 billion. They don't want you to think they're worth $1 billion, but they are. And then you go to the scriptures and you know what I'm saying? You see that because of how he created what he did in the beginning. Like I was saying, look what Tory doing when it comes to which is petty, really, when you think about what he's doing, and then you go back to the pharaohs, how they was building pyramids and all that, and all he doing is building roads and buildings. It goes back to the melanin. Those are the things they capable of. That's the things we capable of. They want us to think on a lower level, but look what our people was doing before us, and what their minds were set on. But they want to neutralize us down to a certain thing because and take away our value. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you were talking about Benin too, and the Wall of Benjamin. Because when I had found that out, I'm like, damn, I didn't know. I know we were capable of something like that, but I had just never heard of the Wall of Benjamin, and even done the history on Benin. And finding out that's Benjamin and everything. It just
Oh yeah.
speaks to the, more of the history they want to hide from us, so we're not inspired.
Right. And like I was saying, we throw it off because they didn't change the narrative. But like I said, when Moses sung in Deuteronomy 32, he sung that whole thing to them. He sung it. Go back to what I was telling you about with those groups, okay, Motown. So he sung that. Then we see Joshua sung. He prophesied them, but he prophesied. He sung it to them. So that's being human. You know what I mean? So no other man can't do that. It's like men. So Creator says that men wonder that. So that means that for the longest we never was supposed to be around them. All they heard was all they ever heard. They just heard through word of mouth what we was capable of, but they never was in our presence until like Daniel said, his Most High indignation came to a fool, and he cast us out amongst them. But before that, we was just niggas wonder that Negroes, $1 billion niggas wonder that they heard about us, but they had nothing to do. They know nothing about us. They just knew what we was capable of. And the things that they had heard. They heard about Solomon. They heard about Moses and David and all them. They heard about this, but they had never been around us. And so that's where we lost the edge at when the Creator cast us out of the land. Now we amongst them. And that's why we so hated. Well, yeah, and so that's the spirit that he's slowly coming back to the earth, and it's coming through the people that know who their Redeemer is. Because you can't get to that point if you dealing with JC or the Pope or some mega pastor. You're not gonna get to that point. But when you find out who your Redeemer is, and you get lined up with that, that's when you start seeing things the way you're supposed to see them, the way it really is. That's how that goes. Oh yeah. So like I was saying before, my conversations, people that heard my conversations on Prophets of Awakening, they are dealing with what we're looking at is this is an old blueprint. Like I said, they brought Martin Luther King on the scene. Calmed us down. They got man Jesse Jackson. They brought him on the scene. They brought Farrakhan. They brought all these Negroes on the scene. And we look at the same thing now because they in a state of desperation. Our Redeemer didn't show back up. We're starting to see signs of him, like Isaiah 60 said, "Arise and shine, for thy light has come. The Lord is risen above thee." We're starting to see that. And so here they come with this old blueprint they've been had. And they throwing they using all the propaganda strategies that they got with this last twist and turn. Because like I said, when you go to Isaiah 30, we go to Ezekiel 38, the very people they got this dude dealing with is Gog and Magog. Don't fit the narrative. And it's been Gog and Magog been identified a long time ago. These whacked out ass pastors know that who Gog and Magog is. Gog and Magog is China and Russia. So like I said, let me read that. Like I did last night. So it says right here. Look at it. I'm in Ezekiel. So first of all, I'm gonna read Ezekiel 37 first, just part of it, to bring some awareness, right? So the purpose of Ezekiel 37 is that in the very beginning it says, okay, all our forefathers was already told he was gonna bring them back because they was gonna judge the angels that sinned against the earth, sinned against the Most High from the beginning. And a lot of that drama that they had going on in their lives was because of these people that came, these giants. So he told them if they was going to, if they walked upright, kept his laws, statutes, and judgment, in the end, they was going to judge the giants. So in order for them to do that, if they dead now, you got to resurrect them. So that's what Ezekiel 37 is. So it says, the hand of the Lord was upon me, carried me out in the midst of the Spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of a valley which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there was many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry, because 2,500 years at least. That's why they dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, notice this ain't JC. Son of man, these bones live. Can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, thou knowest. And again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus said the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. So what are you talking about? That's what he did to Adam. He formed him on the ground, and then he caused breath to enter into him. Now he got a whole valley full of people, right? So it says, and I will lay sinew upon you, bring up the flesh, bring up the same flesh that they had on them before they passed away. I will bring up flesh upon you, cover you with skin, and I will put breath into you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, right? So I prophesied as he commanded me, and I prophesied, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, it's shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. So the bone went back where it came from. Whatever body it was skeleton it was with. No matter where it was at in the valley, it went back to the skeleton where it came from. That's what it's telling you. And when I beheld, lo, the sinew and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them from above, but there was no breath in them. Same with Adam. He formed them on the ground, and then he just laid there, but there wasn't no breath in him yet, no spirit. 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say unto the wind, thus saith the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, and they lived, and they stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army. Yeah. So read it again, verse 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came unto them, and they lived, and they stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army. So that's what we need in these last days. The army. But the Israelites, our forefathers. This the army. So you say, what are you talking about? Verse 11. Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones is the whole house of Israel, our forefathers. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost, and we're cut off from our parts. Therefore, prophesy and say unto them, thus says the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open up your graves, cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you into the land of Israel. It's the army right here that we need. And ye shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened up your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that I am the Lord, and I have spoken it, and I have performed it, says the Lord. So this is the army right here. So this is the army that we waiting on. So like I said, is Tory come out the grave? Let that from me. But anyway, go to 38. So he raised the army up from our forefathers in Ezekiel 37. Now we in 38. Says prophesy to God. Like I said, it's already been identified who God is. Russia and China is Gog and Magog. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. And thus said, and say, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O God, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and I will put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horsemen, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So let's look at this. It's right divided. So this is why he raised up the army over there in Ezekiel 37, because this army is coming right here. He raised the army up that's going to circumvent this army in Ezekiel 38. But the army in Ezekiel 37 come out of the ground. They are forefathers. They come out of the grave. Like I said, let that ferment. Matter of fact, do with it what you want to do with it. But they come out of the ground. Moses says, go to Daniel. He said the saints is somebody that was dead. You're going to resurrect them. The saints of the Most High gonna take the kingdom, right? So he says, 5, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shields and helmets. Gomer, all these people with Gog and Magog. Gomer and all their bands, the house of Tomagog. Go to Ezekiel 30, Genesis 10, the Gentiles. Tomagog of the north quarters, and all their bands and many people with them. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years. That's where we at. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of our many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, 2,500 years at least. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. And thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. And thus says the Lord God. Or this Gog and Magog, Russia and China, right? We're looking at them. It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall the thing come into their mind that thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, and all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. Now here you go. This is the purpose of Gog and Magog, Russia and China. To take a spoil, and to take a prey, and to turn their hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the places that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle, goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. Sheba, Dedan, and the merchants of Tarsus, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Or thou come to take a spoil, and hast thou gathered the company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, and to take away cattle and goods, and to take a great prey. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, Thus says the Lord God, in that day, when my people Israel dwell safely, shall thou not know it, and thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company, and a mighty army. So, like I said before, you got an army, a wicked ass army in Ezekiel 38, and you got an army in Ezekiel 37. The army in Ezekiel 37, the Creator manifested it from our righteous forefathers that walked upright with Him, promised them He was going to resurrect them. So, like I said before, rightly divide that. The army that's going to come and help Israel is coming up out of the ground, out of graves. They are forefathers. Okay, any comments on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. All of that just makes sense to me, because when all of the covenants in the Old Testament, they say forever. And then so when I think about, like, for instance, the covenant he has with David, he says David gonna be the king of Israel forever, and it mentions it in Ezekiel 37. And so when it says that, in my mind, I'm like, okay, damn, but King David is dead. So
Right.
that has to make me think, when I'm thinking like a Hebrew, that makes me believe in this text, in this prophecy that Ezekiel was saying, that that our forefathers will be resurrected. Because
Exactly.
how else will the covenant be fulfilled? How will there be a forever if they ain't coming back? There's no other answer.
Right, exactly. And then he's saying, David, I know David. Anybody else is in the half-ass in the scriptures. They know David, so he's not putting no side talk on it. He says, I'm gonna raise up David. Everybody know who David is. It ain't nothing else with that. He said, I'm gonna raise up David. So that's so he talking about David, the David that we know. You can't say he's saying David and you turn around and say Jesus. No, he said David. If it was Jesus, he would have said Jesus. Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir.
But then the dagger, right? And then the dagger is when he said, "I'm gonna raise you. I'll bring you out of your graves." Come on, you don't know what he's talking about? Come on.
It says symbolic.
Right. Exactly. Ain't that something? Yeah. So somebody got you want to pick a scripture? It's ain't number me and you.
Oh yeah, yes, sir. I got it's in Psalms. It's yes, sir. So in Psalms 103, so it says Psalms 103 and 19. Bless the my subtitle is Bless the Lord. It says the Lord hath prepared his throne in the heavens. And excuse me, the Lord has prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all. Bless the Lord, yea, his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. Bless ye the Lord, all ye his hosts, ye ministers of his, that do his pleasure. Bless the Lord, all his works, in all places of his dominion. Bless the Lord, O my soul. And Brother Leonard is so first of all, it says that angels excel in strength, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so the verse that the ladies read yesterday and that I read tonight in Psalms 50, when it starts off saying uh the the mighty God,
Right.
right? And then so then your book, this book, Brother Leonard, that you got, the Elohim of Israel.
Right.
Explain, help me go deeper and explain what God means. That it means that means a mighty one, it means a shepherd, and it means an angel.
Right. Not Yahweh.
Yes, sir. And a lot
Exactly.
of people I'm seeing they don't like the fact that there's an intercessor between the Most High because they feel like it's the same concept as the New Testament. But the New
Exactly.
Testament had to have gotten the foundation from somewhere, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. They all they did, they just like they stole everything else. They stole the blueprint on that. They just took JC and knocked and took the Lord of Hosts and knocked him off the board and put JC where the Lord of Hosts is at. That's all they
Right,
did. And then so
right,
2,500 years later, the Most High starting to wake us up, and he's certain people he dealing with, they ain't getting that. But he's certain people he's showing them that that's how it goes. You gotta go, you gotta start some, you gotta start somewhere. I mean, look what he did with Moses. He called Moses, it's hundreds of thousands of Israelites in Egypt, but he draw Moses to Mount Horeb, right?
right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it ain't nothing new under the sun. It's gonna start somewhere.
Mm,
Ain't that something?
right, yes, sir. And also, Brother Lynn, I want to say this one last thing. This, in verse 20, it says, "Bless the Lord, ye his angels." Right. So we know the sons of God. They the sons of the Most High. They the sons of Yahweh. But when it's saying his angels, that's referring to somebody's command that he got power over these angels.
Right.
But to that in verse 21, it says it, bless the Lord, all ye his hosts.
Right.
So that means this is the Lord of hosts that they talking about. And that's only one person, one angel.
Right. But from their perspective, that's Yahweh. They don't understand that it's a Lord over the Most High God. It's a office. It's the Most High God. It's a Lord over Most High's host. They think it's the Yahweh, but it ain't. And that's the reason I keep saying, when Pharaoh told everybody, David is David. When you come to Egypt, deal with Joseph. He got all the power and authority that I got. It's just that I'm greater than him on the throne. But when you come to Egypt, he's just like me. Don't come looking for me. Joseph running everything. He got the same power and authority I got. So what you have to look at is, who did that? Why he ain't just knock the Pharaoh off and make Joseph the Pharaoh? The Lord of hosts did it because that's where he rolling from. He ruling from the same position. And he did the same thing with Mordecai. He brought Mordecai to second. He did the same thing with Zerubbabel. And they ain't getting that. Why would he do that? Why he ain't just make Zerubbabel the king? Or why he ain't just make Joseph the Pharaoh? Or Mordecai the king? Because he bringing them up to rulership the same place where he ruled from. Second in command. Like the king. Okay?
Yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, remember, oh, go ahead. No, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I say, and you see it all, once it resonates, you see it all over the place. He's telling you all over the place. And well, they done taught us and trained us over the 18 years we born that how to subvert that. But it ain't working no more because he's saying it ain't adding up. You know, like he said in Judges, the angel of the Lord came up and said, "I'm the one with the covenant." So something wrong. You've been reading the shit wrong. He said he got the covenant. The angel of the Lord got the covenant. So you got to deal with that.
And another thing I'm hearing is people trying to make such a fuss, Brother Leonard, about angel just meaning messenger, right?
Yeah.
But not understanding that the name also is that like angel. It's also referring to the function of his responsibility. He's a messenger, right? As well as a prophet is a messenger.
Exactly.
But it's
Right.
also a being, an angel, a super black man.
Right. Yeah, it's a double it's a double whammy too, because of, like I was saying, what do L mean?
Right. It means
Strong,
angel, and you see it in the suffix.
right, strong one,
El,
right? Strong one.
strong one, mighty one.
Yahweh ain't no angel. So whoever
Right.
the Lord feels, he's a strong one, he's an angel. So, but my point is this: what's the last two letters in angel?
That El.
There you go. Come on.
Can't be much clearer. Yes, sir. It
Yeah.
can't be much clearer.
You want two witnesses? You want two witnesses? There it is.
The
Huh?
E and the L. The E and the
Yeah.
L.
It don't mean but one thing. It don't mean but one thing, a strong one. Okay? Is that something?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All praises.
Oh yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody in the morning for our Shabbat class. Start at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was sitting there thinking too, you can invite them dudes to Friday nights, man.
Oh yeah, yes, sir. I'm on it for next week.
Yeah, I'm starting inviting them to the, you know what I mean? They if they can listen, they can listen. If they don't, it's all good.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Yeah. Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanakh.
because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.